Hey, what's up? What's up? Joe in Vegas back with another review. I got lucky to see one of the legends of the 80s, 80s music for sure, I think. Tears for Fears. I'm 48 years old. I am prime 80s baby, 80s kid. I grew up on all that shit. I grew up in LA and the sun was shining and the top was down and we were listening to Billy Idol and Tears for Fears and watching Goonies, and it was a good time, man. It was a really good time. I have a lot of people in general hold 80s as some of the best music, decade of music ever. I kind of agree with it. It was all over the place. It was something for everybody. It wasn't tainted. It just was fun and pure, and I don't know if it was just what was going on in the world or what was going on at that time, but they were just, the invention of synthesizers and drum machines just made a sound that was just fun. And Tears for Fears, I've said it before in other reviews, and I'm telling you, Everybody Wants to Rule the World, to me, is the song I use. I call it, there are time machine songs. There are songs you hear that the second you hear the opening notes, especially for that song, and that is the song I use when I explain this to people. I use that as an example. I always have. When you hear those opening notes to Everybody Wants to Rule the World, it just teleports you immediately to the 80s, to a time in your life where everything was good or pure, or you were young, so you didn't know things were complicated. But it's a time machine song. And there's time machine songs that take you to bad places and bad times in your life. But there are songs that are written so beautifully and so powerfully that it just teleports you to a time. Tears for Fears has about 4 of those songs that they are the sound of that time. They really are. With Duran Duran, there's a couple bands that are just, oof. So anytime they come, I love to go see them. This time they're playing at Fontainebleau. Fontainebleau's doing a good job. They're coming back. They've been, probably the last 6 months, they've been having great show after great show after great show after like having 0 shows for the first year. And it makes a difference in the hotel. You could see it after the show. There's actually people there. People are staying around to gamble. So I've always said it, man. If you're building a hotel, a casino, you got to have a good venue and you got to have a good person who books good shows, because people will come for the shows and they'll stay for the pizza, they'll stay for the food, they'll stay for the bars, they'll stay for the live music, and they will stay for the gambling, which is what they want. I don't love that venue in Fontainebleau. It's good. It's solid. It's very basic. There's nothing incredible about it. I've said it before, and if you're listening, for the first time listening, I don't like the floor seats there. I don't like them. They are cafeteria chairs, and they're very flat, and they're hooked together on the sides like when you were a little kid. So you are sitting next to some stranger, and your like arms are touching, and there's no armrest to put in between. They're not. I don't know what they did. So I was lucky enough. Tickets, they're playing 3 nights now, and I think they've added 3 or 4 shows because those nights sold out. Tickets were really expensive. They were $200 or $300 for decent seats. I was on the fence about going, and luckily a friend of mine was in town. They had an extra ticket, and they invited me, which was awesome. So thank you to Tootie for that. But still very expensive. But I don't know if the money's worth it for that floor. You really should shoot for the 200 section there. I think I haven't been up on the 3s and 4s and 5s yet, but the 200 section is regular theater seats, and it elevates a little bit so you're not flat. So I'm going to give you a tip as my listener, as a thank you for listening to my reviews. At Fontainebleau, there's a section behind 200 that's general admission. They don't charge tickets there. There's little tables. You can go there, go do that. Anyway, okay, let's talk about Tears for Fears. Let's get into the set list. Okay, they start with No Small Thing. Then they do the tipping point, and then they go right into Everybody Wants to Rule the World, which is just, I mean, their songs are monsters. They're massive. They're just timeless. I'm telling you, these songs are 40 years old. They don't get old. I can listen. I came home from the show and I started listening to these songs right away. They are, I don't know how there's no expiration date on these songs. The Girl That I Call Home, Sowing the Seeds of Love, I believe was the 90s, but God, talk about a classic. You hear tones and Sowing the Seeds, and you hear it and Break It Down Again. They have this like little Beatles every now and then. It just sounds a little Beatle-ish to me, which is awesome. You could tell they were inspired by the Beatles. Most bands were. But Sowing the Seeds of Love is such a fucking great song. Emily Said, Quiet Ones, long time. So they're putting out a new album now, and they just played a lot of songs from the new stuff. Long, Long Time, Break the Man, My Demons, River of Mercy. Then they did Mad World, which I love. Everybody loves that song. I think it was one of their first hits. You hear a lot of people now. That song also has its own second life where people have been slowing it down. I think it was maybe Adam Lambert on American Idol or one of those shows slowed it down and did it as a really dark ballad. And I see it a lot on my Instagrams and stuff where a lot of current singers have slowed it down and really made it haunting. And it's I actually like the slower version better than their version, but their version's awesome. Obviously, it's a classic. Astronaut, Suffer the Children, Woman in Chains, Badman Song, Pale Shelter, and then the monster songs. Break It Down Again. What a great fucking song. Head Over Heels. I just, man, I forgot how good that song is. For me, I don't know. It just, like I said, teleports me, transports me back. Head Over Heels, and they mix in Broken. They do their encore. They come back and say Goodbye to My Mom and Dad, which is a new one. And then they close, which probably their biggest hit. I remember, I haven't looked up stats. I remember Shout just being the biggest song in the world. Another one of those songs. You hear those first couple notes, you know, and your brain goes to the beach and the black and white video and the radio and the 1980, whatever year it was, 85 maybe, and just being in like a poster store and hearing that song in the background and just being a kid. God, God, dude, it's like emotional. It's 40 years. Like this is our life. This was the soundtrack of, for me, again, this is for me, for my age. This was the soundtrack of those years. So what was that? How does Everyone Runs Through the World start? You know, welcome to your life. There's no turning back. I think that's the line. I mean, sing that to fucking 12, 13, 14-year-old boy. I mean, it's like, God, they are really part of the fabric of my childhood. That music. It developed and made me love music. Those 80s songs made me love music. And, man, to be pushing 50 and to still go see them and they sound great. They look great. Roland looks weird, I guess. He looks the same. His face is the same, but he's got this really long, bright white hair and a white beard. He kind of looks like Santa Claus. But, man, I don't know, man. I like them. Scale of 1 to 10, look. Those songs are monsters, and just hearing them deserves a high grade. But look, it's not their fault. I don't know their other songs. I just never delved into their music. They were good. They sound like good songs, but there was a lot of, songs I didn't know in between the stuff. So for that, I'm going to give them an 8.9 out of 10. But I do think it's worth the money. I think it's such a walk down memory lane. If you have a chance to see him and it's a few $100, I know it's a little pricey. All concerts are pricey, but that tingling, those chills you get up your arm when you hear the opening to Everybody Wants to Rule the World or Shout or Head Over Heels, the chorus and Head Over Heels, when you get those goosebumps, you can't put a price on that. You can't put a price on that. And as this world is getting harsher and darker and social media is dragging us down into this weird state where we're just numb and we just sit around and watch death videos all day long and, and war videos and to pay money to get those chills and those flashbacks to a time when everything was pure and easy and you'd be at the bowling alley calling your freaking mom collect and, they ask for your name. You're like, ready to be picked up. And then you hang up and so you don't have to pay the quarter. I mean, those were just good times before all the technology just engulfed us. So go see it. Thanks for listening. If you were there, if you've seen them recently, leave a comment, subscribe, and I will see you at the next show. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.